Yeah, so we'll start off today with reviewing how we design our classes, because we've done that over the years. But the question might be, are we in a position to talk about or write about how we design, why we teach the way we teach, and so on. So basically, that is the idea of this series, that we move away from just going to class and not documenting anything. So you need documentation on your teaching effectiveness for your teaching portfolio in the first place, okay? And also just reflecting on your teaching. It really helps a lot. And other than that, as I announced during the academic staff workshop, we are looking forward to subscribing to Advanced HE. So, but we need a critical mass of those people who are ready, because for you to become a fellow or a senior fellow, you need to show your effectiveness. And the effectiveness can only be shown when you document. So the question would be, can you document your effectiveness? Okay, yeah. So today we shall start off with the first session. And what we are going to do, I gave you some reading. Those of you who had registered early, if you had not registered, the document is on e-learning. So for SBS lecturers, you can log on to your SBS e-learning. There's pedagogy, a class pedagogy 101. And for the university e-learning, you have pedagogy 2026. David, I don't know whether you have already sent, is it pedagogy or andragogy, Raymond? Okay. Yeah, so there are all those terms. If you want to differentiate, adult learning is actually andragogy, and hitagogy, you can go, Raymond, that will be your assignment, yeah? Yeah, but let's just use pedagogy. Okay, yeah. So for e-learning, so David has sent for SBS, that is the enrollment key, and for the university e-learning. But SBS, it's pedagogy 101, and pedagogy P is actually a capital. So David, maybe you can just check your email and set the enrollment key. Okay, so we can start off. I have people from different schools. I believe a number of you know me. We've met personally. So for those of you who are new, I'm Dr. Mary Omingo. I will take you through this series until we start our session. For those of us who will be teaching from April, this will help you plan for your classes. Those of us who have just finished a semester, you can go back to to what you taught from January to, is it November to March, just to check on whether what we shall be talking about is what you did. Okay. Yeah, so the first thing that we are going to do, we looked at AI during our academic staff workshop. So I would like us also to use AI in making our work a little bit easier. And David I know a number of us have read. Yesterday I met Raymond, and he was telling me, Dr. Mutura, and he was telling me how he has read the handout on deep and learning approaches. I believe a number of you have also done the same. Yeah. So David will take some 10 minutes to take us through how to use the notebook for those of us who have not read, and those of us who have read, how to use notebook to internalize the material that maybe we want to study, or we can even give our students. We can also, help our students go a little bit deep into the learning of the material, because the content is the most important thing. I mean, you cannot do anything without content. So for lecturers, we need to understand the content before we go to class. And then for our students, they can only learn after we have taught them content. Yeah. So the question is, how do we facilitate this content? How can we get into making most of our students to adopt deep learning approach? So let us just look at the difference between the deep and surface learning approach, but we shall do that using notebook. So David, can you take over?
Yes, sure.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Dr. Omingo. This will be very, very brief. So we did a small survey and we got 81 people responding to us in the AI workshop that we had last week. And we asked pretty much, what generative tools do you use most frequently? And out of the 80 people who responded, a staggering 70 said ChatGPT is their go-to AI tool, which is understandable. It was the first one that made waves in 2022, nearly 4 years ago. And, you know, it works for the most part. But when we looked at Notebook LM, we only had about 14 people out of 80 who have used it frequently. Maybe many more know about Notebook LM, but it shows there's a bit of a gap here. We think this is a very good tool that more people should start using. It's also interesting to see what tools that other peers are using. Gemini is the close second. About half of you use Gemini, especially because using your Strathmore account, you can get the Gemini Pro subscription for free. It's right there. As long as you're using Gemini with your Strathmore email account, just in case you didn't know, you have access to the Pro model. And you know, you could get better answers. So I will quickly run through some of the features of Notebook LM, taking about 2 minutes, and then we do a demo, and then back to Dr. Omingo. So you can think of Notebook LM as a research tool and a thinking partner. Actually, that's how they describe themselves. They reduce hallucination by grounding their answers on the sources you provide. So if you provide your notes, maybe a couple of PDFs, and you query the AI on it, it will only give you material from your own sources. And we'll see that. It also creates podcasts and audio discussions from your sources. And, you know, it also creates quizzes, flashcards, and study guides. I've walked around STC and I've seen students using your notes, putting them on Notebook LM, generating quizzes, and using that to, you know, practice before they come and attempt your CAT or exam. So you could also use this as inspiration for quizzes or CAT questions that you may want to set yourself. It also creates summaries and outlines. It supports PDFs, Google Docs, slides, sheets, text files, and even URLs. It's quite good because you could have videos that you want to show your students and you can feed it to Notebook LM. We'll see how to do that. You could have your notes in Google Docs, slides, and sheets, or you could even just have text you've copy pasted that you need AI to support you with. So it does that, and it only bases the responses on your sources. So it vastly reduces hallucination, not to zero, but very close to zero. It generates mind maps and video overviews, which we'll also see. And according to Google themselves, because Notebook LM is a Google tool, Notebook LM doesn't train its models on your data. So your information remains secure. Whether you're using Notebook LM on your free account or, you know, even if you pay, they have made a commitment not to train their models on your data. So you can have a bit of peace of mind. So hopefully they keep it that way. So the limits, because someone was asking me about the limits the other day, 50 per day on your Strathmore account. So don't spend the whole day there, because you might be told, hey, try again tomorrow. It can create 3 podcasts per day. It can create 3 videos per day. It can give you 10 reports per month. This is deep research. If you're doing literature review and you have several sources, it can generate comprehensive reports, but this is capped at 10 per month because it's very computationally expensive for them. And of course, it can generate quizzes, flashcards, and reports at 10 per day. So it's good to keep in mind that there are certain limits they've imposed. So let me,
David,
yes.
Raymond is asking how long, for how long? Raymond, can you just ask the question, please?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm still very wary about these solutions, because
Yes.
it's true, they say they will not use it for, they will not use they will not train their models on your data.
Yes.
But for how long? I mean, what is that commitment? Because
I
ultimately
see.
they already have the data. So it's just a matter of tweaking their T and C's, and one day clicking that we
Yes.
click that,
Yeah.
and then we have new terms and conditions.
Yeah. So as of today, well, today is I think 10th of March 2026. They have still said they're not using. They have a lot more avenues to get our data, but as of today, they've said they're not using the Gemini to mine our data, because you can imagine people are putting deep research, their own sometimes even proprietary work into the models, but they are saying they will not. We are also thinking about the possibility of working with providers and having an in-house AI model.
Yeah.
We are thinking about that kind of thing and seeing whether it's possible, so that lecturers can know we have an AI model hosted within Strathmore that can, all our data is staying in-house. But as of now, this is the next best thing. I would urge you to, in case you see Google have said, click here to see our updated terms and conditions, and then you just click accept. Then that's usually the red flag, yeah. So it might be that they have started training,
Okay.
but as of today, they are not training with their your data.
David.
Right.
Okay,
Yes.
I can see Lena has a question, but Lena, can we keep that for a few minutes, yeah? Because we don't have much time.
Yes.
David will answer those questions so that at least we just use it for teaching purposes, yeah? For now,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So for those of you, because I'm not assuming that everyone has used Notebook LM before, all you do, open your browser, your Google Chrome, open a new tab and search for Notebook LM. If you just Google search that, the first result you'll get is this one, and it will be written notebooklm.google. That should be the first link you get. And you'll see a page that looks like this, and then you'll click try Notebook LM, right? So when you go there, it will give you.
So, okay, just David.
Yes.
So can we, let's try this. I think it is really, I found it really useful. So can all of us get onto the notebook? Yeah, before David now moves on to this. So just
Yes.
sign in.
Try and
then,
follow along as well.
Yeah. So let them sign, give them maybe 2 minutes to do so. Yeah. And when you sign in, please show that you have signed in. You can use one of the
emojis.
Yes, that you've signed in, so that we know how many people have signed in. So notebook. So David, maybe just go through the instructions again.
Yes. So once you've created, once you've signed in, you'll see an interface like this. It will tell you create audio and video overviews from your websites, links, all these things. If you have some files, you can just click on upload and it can take you there.
David, let's see. We can use, if you have the file on, if you got the document on deep learning approach and the book.
Yes.
The book. David, have you sent the link to the book in the chat?
Just a second.
Yeah, so those of you who don't have the book, because I cannot upload it on e-learning, you can get the link. And so just put the 2 documents, upload them in notebook. Let's see what we learn from there. We want to use that for learning purposes here. Okay. So if you received the 2 documents, deep and surface learning approaches, and then the book by Biggs, upload that, and let's see what you get.
So most of you should have gotten this on your calendar invite. If you have not, I have put it on the chat as well. So you can click that, download it, and upload it.
Yeah.
So download it on your computer, or even put it as a link if you prefer. So from here on, I'll be working with the assumption that either you're using our sources or you have your own documents that you'd like to use. And I'm also working with the assumption that, many of us have already done this. So we are trying to accommodate both those who are very familiar and those who are very new to this. So I will just upload this and this too as my 2 sources. And as it uploads, I can rename it. So I can call it my pedagogy notebook at the top left. Okay. So it will already give me some summary of what it is understanding from the 2 sources I've uploaded. Okay. So deep and surface learning approaches, it's already giving me a quick summary of what it has understood. But now, because David, I had already, yes.
David, a bit. So how many of us have been able to upload? Do you need time or we are okay? Okay.
What are we uploading?
What are we uploading, Caleb? We are uploading okay, if you take that book that David has just sent, and if you had signed in early, we had notes on, but you can just upload the book if you don't have the other handout. So if you had the handout on deep and surface learning, and then the book, upload the 2 in the notebook. If you don't have the notes, okay, Maureen, we want to look at the differences between deep and surface learning, but it's also good you have uploaded your own notes here. So yeah, so that is what we are uploading, but you can still upload your own notes. But for now, I just wanted you to see how, if you had not read, or if you really want to understand the difference between deep and surface learning, how you can actually use the notebook. Yeah. Okay, so David, I think you can go ahead. So
thank you. And actually, that's a very important thing you've just raised there, Daktari, because in case I had already uploaded my notes, maybe these are the notes that I have also wanted to upload. I don't have to query everything, right? So right now, you see, I've uploaded 4 different documents. 2 are PDFs. This one's in red. And 2 are documents. This one's in blue. So let's say I don't want to use the notes I have uploaded in my query. I'll just untick. And then I can, query this as if I'm typing to ChatGPT, give me a quick summary of the source material. Okay. So it will only reference the 2 that I have ticked. So sometimes you can upload up to 50 sources, so many documents, and then you choose the ones that you want Notebook LM to get for you. Okay, so I can see it's already doing that. There are two other features I quickly wanted us to talk about, so that I hand back over to Dr. Omingo. And these features are on the right of my screen. There's audio overviews, video overviews, mind maps, reports, flashcards, quizzes, infographics, slide decks, and data tables. So what are these? These are the outputs that Notebook LM can give you out of your own notes, right? If I, for example, using the two sources that Dr. Mingo has provided for us, that most of you have on your calendar invites, and that if you don't have, you can just check on your chat. Using these sources, I have generated a slide deck. A slide deck is pretty much works like Microsoft PowerPoint. So you have maybe a presentation on some research, and you want a PowerPoint sort of like a draft for you to start using. You can use this. You just upload your sources, make sure they're ticked, and then you just click on slide deck, for example, right here. So if you click on that, it will generate for you something like this. It's a slide deck. And if I, start it, you'll see it has created for me some sort of PowerPoint presentation based on my own sources, and I can download this and edit it a bit, and get my presentation going at a much faster pace than if I did it all from scratch. Okay, so that's the slide deck. I can go back.
So David.
Yes.
Just go back to the slide deck, and then now
Yes.
let's show there's a slide there of the differences between surface. I could use that. Yeah, this is I found this interesting, by the way. The next one, next. Okay, yeah. Let's go to the earlier one, the one before this. Yeah. So I think when you read through, when you're looking at the story of Susan and Robert, those of us who have read, I think the idea here is how can we design our classes in such a way that we have more of Susan's approach than Robert's approach. Okay, for those of us who have not read, please read so that you know what we are talking about. So Susan is this student who will read before class. She will come in, ask questions, and she's there to learn. But Robert just wants to pass. And I think majority of our students might take on Robert's approach than Susan's approach if we do not design our classes in such a way that we enable them adopt that approach. So just move to the next one. So the next slide. So here is the difference between deep and surface. You can read through the book. I gave the pages and also the notes. So when we talk about deep learning approach, we want to drive the student to a point whereby they make meaning. And to make meaning, it means that I'm able to relate what I've learned to what goes on around me. I can apply it in practice. And when you talk about making meaning, this was by Mesro in 1991. He talked about transformative learning. Those of you who have been attending some of our sessions, we've talked about Mesro. So transformative learning. How can we design our classes in such a way that students can start making meaning? Okay, not just sense meaning, not just noticing, but they get to a point whereby they make meaning. So if we design our classes in such a way, you can be sure that you will be an effective teacher, okay? And as you can see, we are also looking at the intrinsic curiosity. So it is not just for exam purposes, but this student really wants to pass. We also have, in relation to this, we also have significant learning by Fink. And he talks of learning a change that lasts. You know, you meet a student 10 years down the line, and when they see you, they actually know that you made a change in their life. So the question would be, how do we get to that particular point? Okay. Yeah, so that basically that is what deep learning approach is all about. And we are saying that in these sessions, as we design our classes, let's try to design them in such a way that most of our students, if not all, adopt a deep learning approach. They move away from surface to deep learning. Okay, yeah. So David, you can maybe move on. So move on to the other features, maybe the flashcards. Then we can. I hope you've been exploring those areas on your laptop. Please explore them. They're interesting. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that, Dr. Omingo. Maybe for those of you who have already tried, you will find we have all the features here, including the flashcards. So when I click on this, it will start generating a flashcard for me. And as it does, it will have a bit of a lag. Sometimes it will stay a bit longer depending on how big your source documents are. But as it's generating a flashcard for me, I already generated a video a little bit prior. So let's quickly see what this video looks like. You will tell me if you're able to hear the audio. If not, I will reshare with audio this time. So
any question about, okay, Lena, you have your hand out. Yes.
Before he goes, can he answer my question on plagiarism?
Let me see. Okay.
Can we?
I'd asked if you use it for deep research, like literature review, does it, and you said that it doesn't use someone's data to train.
Yes.
So is it picked as plagiarism?
Okay. There's two things. Sometimes plagiarism can be classified as content that is generated by AI, because you see, Notebook LM is simply powered by the Gemini model underlying it. So sometimes you can use it on your own sources. This is material you've composed yourself. You put it on Notebook LM, and the output it gives you has a certain intonation that can seem AI generated, right? So I think it's better to at least specify that in your work, according to your own procedures, you specify that I used this tool not to generate material, but I used this tool to help me compose my material. I think that would be good, because it would be very unfair for you to be penalized on your own research that you conducted, but that sounds AI generated. Ian Oirua usually has a lot more to say on that. And if you attend our Coffee in One Gulps, we'll have that as one of the questions that can be answered better.
Okay, fine. Joseph, Professor Nyango, you have your hand up.
Hi, thank you. Just to respond to Lena, is that if we intend to publish that work, the first thing that the journals do, and most of the journals that I work with, is that your work first is passed through AI detection. But then if you're submitting your work to the journal nowadays, they require you to declare. That's the first point that you do, whether you used AI to assist you in doing this work. But then the risk of that is that in most cases, the moment you say you used AI and you're publishing, the probability that your work gets rejected is so high, because you want to see the originality, you want to see what was your input. So you run the risk. But again, still, if you do not declare still, it will be detected. Because like Frontier, where I'm an editor, we have 40 data sets of detecting an AI, that this work passed through an AI. So if you already have 40 data points to indicate that the work has been generated through an AI, then you really run the risk. So again, still, we are still in the age of, while we have these technologies, embracing how we embrace the technology, is still in some question, because some people will say, fine, okay, I see some originality, some people automatically write it off. So you still run the risk either way. So how do you then still move at a blend of both the human ingenuity and as well as the technology that you are leveraging on? So Lena, that's it.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you.
University instructor, let's dive into a really common challenge. You've seen this in your own classroom, right? Well, it all comes down to their approach. Think of Susan, who's there for real understanding, versus Robert, who just needs that degree for a job. And that difference, researchers call it a deep versus a surface approach to learning. So let's break that down. The differences in how they behave are pretty stark. Now here is the most crucial point to take away from all of this. See, students aren't just born surface learners. It's a direct response to your course design. So what can you do? Here are some simple, practical ways to encourage that deep approach. And just as important, here's what to avoid. These things actively push students to the surface. But of all the factors, your assessments have the most power. They signal what really matters. So as you plan your next semester, ask yourself this one transformative question.
Yes, so you can see that video it wasn't a very, very good video. I usually find the audio is a little better in explaining. The audio generates a podcast of 20, 30 minutes that can really help you get into the material. So the video can be hit or miss sometimes. This is still very early stages for the technology. So some of you may have better luck as you're generating your video. So I don't know if Dr. Omingo, you have found your document.
I think I've gotten what was not there. Good. Okay. Fine. Okay. We are writing. So this is how I just want to, it's not perfect, but at least I can write about how I design my course. Okay. So the first thing that I do when I get the course description, this one, I put this into concepts. Okay. I put this into concepts and I come up with a concept map. So what I would like you to do, and this is between now and next week, put your course outline, your PowerPoint slides in notebook, and then put mind map. It will generate for you a concept map like this, actually. Yeah. So the main concepts will come up. So once I've generated this concept map, we've been taking about a week to do this. But I saw like notebook you can generate it within seconds. Okay. So just take your course outlines, put that in notebook. You'll come up with a mind map. And with that mind map, for every concept, I think there's somebody who talked of in your expectations, how do you complete the syllabus without rushing? So if you conceptualize your content, you can be sure you'll be in a position to teach these concepts during the course without rushing. So once you do that, then you come up with the course learning outcomes. And if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 concepts, I expect at least 5 course learning outcomes. Okay, but I have more because I have a concept here on critical thinking and I have a concept here on communication. So as you design your courses, I had actually looked at the people who registered. We are teaching marketers, we are teaching accountants, we are teaching finance managers, engineers, lawyers, diplomats, financial analysts, economists, school principals, entrepreneurs, in hospitality. I think we have many professions there, and then leaders. So the question would be, don't just have hard skills learning outcomes for your course, but include also soft skills. And soft skills will be on the 4 C's. The 4 C's are critical thinking, creativity, hospitality, I believe you must have a concept on creativity and innovation. Okay, I believe the lawyers, they need whatever on communication and learning outcome on communication. So look at the key C's that your students must learn. Of course, the others will come in collaboration, communication, but you can be sure that for a lawyer, they need to communicate. So the question would be, how do you ensure that they do that? So that is about the course. But what I wanted us to do is not to design the course today. But you can do this in notebook, those of us who have not designed their courses, because you cannot move into the facilitation plan without designing your course, okay? And if you do this, you'll be in a position to write about it. That is the idea, okay? Yeah. So what I'm interested in, what we are supposed to do is actually this. I call it, I don't know, I have not changed it. I changed this to a facilitation plan instead of a delivery plan, okay? Yeah. So I bring in my concepts. Then from the concepts, I now have the topics. And if you put all your material in the notebook, from the concept, it will actually take you to the topics. And then you can write the learning outcomes, okay? So this is part of designing your facilitation plan. So you can see in my facilitation plan, I talk about assignments. I have put there journal articles. I can even put there the pages. So my students, I can talk about this course outline actually, yeah, and the facilitation plan. So that is the idea. Do you have a facilitation plan that you can document about? Okay, yeah, so that is what we want to get into today, next week, and the other two sessions. Any question or comment on that? Okay. Somebody has...
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, Dr. Omingo, just in the spirit of AI and what you've started with, what components of the facilitation plan other than the map did you try to get AI to assist?
Actually, my concept map, I designed without AI. But the other day when I was going through notebook with David, I realized that you can do it. You can use mind map. Yeah. People have used that for learning outcomes, but as we shall see, some of those learning outcomes are not SMART. So you can use that for class learning outcomes or even for course learning outcomes. But then as a lecturer, you need to know what is a SMART learning outcome. And that is what you want to look at. Is that okay?
Yeah, I guess you can also still align it to SMART because SMART has those six concepts. So you can still direct it to,
fine.
Yeah. And then maybe ask it to put attention on the higher ones of create and analyze. Yeah.
Okay. So that is the idea. The idea is you design in such a way that you don't have words like, let me see what I wanted. Yeah. So we design in such a way that we use high order learning, order verbs. Let me just get back to that. Yeah. So the handout on outcomes, please read that because I don't think we'll have time for you to, as you prepare your facilitation plan. Let me just share my my course outline again. Okay, yeah, so what Dr. Mutura is saying, when it comes to even class level learning outcomes, so let us not write understand. So just check through your learning outcomes right now. If you have your course, do you have words like understand? Do you have words like draw? know, comprehend. Yeah, so those kind of words, they are not measurable, okay? And we try not to use list, define, because for me to know about risk, you can be sure I will have to classify corporate risk. I'll have to define. So the low order verbs are taken care of by the high order verbs. So if you say, for example, define, you'll not be in a position to classify. But if I say classify, then I will be able to define first and then move on to classification. Okay, so that is how we design our learning outcomes. So just check through your course outline between now and next week, see whether, and you can use the handout, the handbook, the handout on learning outcomes. And then we also have the Bloom's taxonomy. Go to it and use the higher order verbs. But I also wanted to share the significant learning. Those of us who have not been in my class of late, I don't think you know about taxonomy of significant learning. So this is by Fink, taxonomy of significant learning, and foundational knowledge is actually what we have in our concept map, information and ideas. But the question would be, when you're designing your course, are you thinking about the application? And the application takes us to the 4 C's. Okay, creativity, problem solving, collaboration, and so on. Yeah, so the skills. So we have the cognitive domain here. We have so this gives us the cognitive domain in Bloom's taxonomy. This gives us the psychomotor, but then we have this bit, which is more of the affective domain. And as you can see, in Bloom's taxonomy, we don't take care of the affective domain. So taxonomy of significant learning will really assist us in coming up with learning outcomes or even teaching and learning activities that will enable students to integrate ideas, peoples, and realms of life. So when we teach our courses, do we teach it independently? We don't relate it to the other courses. Even in the course itself, when you're teaching the topics, do you teach the topics in silos or they flow? You see, if you come up with a concept map, you'll be in a position and to enable students to integrate this. Okay, yeah. Then the human dimension. How do you design your course in such a way that students learn about themselves and others? So that means that there should be a lot of collaboration there. Okay, so self-directed learning and also learning in groups, discussions and all that. Then this is normally a very good dimension. And the question here is, why should students actually care about your course? Why? Have you designed it in such a way that it generates feelings, interest, values? Do they see value in the course that you're teaching? So if they do not care about your course, then you can be sure the most they'll do is just to adopt a surface learning approach. And in that case, they will be like Robert. Okay. And lastly, learning how to learn. How do we ensure that students are self-directed learners? They can learn how to learn. Yeah. So the taxonomy of significant learning is actually an improvement of Bloom's taxonomy. And these are some of the maybe competencies that, as you design your class between now for learning outcomes, please think about this. Include a learning outcome that takes care of critical thinking and problem solving, communication, collaboration, creativity, self-efficacy, citizenship, digital literacy, learning how to learn. Okay. And okay, I just wanted to share this Now, it is not just for students' purposes that we want to design our classes in such a way that we are effective, but also for our reflective practice or the teaching portfolio, which we need to be writing actually. Yeah, so do we ever reflect on our practices? So a teaching portfolio is made up of the teaching philosophy, teaching responsibilities, teaching effectiveness, and teaching development activities. So basically, we shall be concentrating on evaluating our teaching effectiveness. Okay, so that is what will take us to the professional standard. Professional standard framework, which is about the fellowship. Okay. So any question on, yeah, Ruth, your hand is up, yes. Professor Kraka, sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Mary, for that presentation, and David as well. You kept saying that we need to design our courses in such a way that we can talk about them. Or so, or this talking about them. Are you talking about that we should, or with that we can document them? Are you saying that we should be documenting the process that we use to come up with our course outline? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
And,
so
and that is that part of what is in the teaching portfolio? Does it?
Yes. Teaching portfolio is about teaching effect. There's a portion on teaching effectiveness. Okay. And on teaching effectiveness, how do you show teaching effectiveness? You need to document.
Okay, so you document how you design the course outline, you document how you deliver, you document. All right.
Yes. Okay.
And then I've just seen the 7 core competencies that you just sort of had there towards the end. They seem to align with CBE.
Yeah.
I think I've seen similar terminologies there. So I don't know whether that's a deliberate thing, and whether as we go into CBE, this is how we should be thinking about our teaching.
Yes.
That by 2029 we are aligned.
Yes.
With our Gen Alphas. Okay.
Yeah. So we'll have other sessions on the same, but why can't we start now? So that we also think about the competences. Okay.
And then quickly on the enrollment key, did you get an enrollment key for the materials? I don't remember seeing anything like that. Materials that you said are available on e-learning.
On SBS, Pedagogy 101.
Is there an enrollment key?
Yes, that one. Pedagogy 101. Yeah.
Pedagogy 101 is enrollment key.
Yes. Okay. So let me just share the last thing in the 2 minutes. So what I would like you to do after this session, please read the materials on how to draft good learning outcomes, and then go through your facilitation plan for the semester and then document. So I just want to share for those of us, so this is what would be expected of you if you decide to apply for fellowship. And this is available on, so if you just check Advanced HE and you check the Professional Standard Framework, you'll be in a position to get all this material. But let me just share with you what is required. So as I said, we have 3 fellowship. So D1 is about associate fellow. Then D2 is about a fellow. D3 is senior fellowship. And D4 is principal fellowship. Now, it is not chronological. You don't have to be a senior to apply for senior fellowship. It is just what you do. So I'll start with the fellow because that is what, for you to apply to be a fellow of Advanced HE, you need to show effectiveness in your teaching. And the first activity area is actually how you design the learning activities and or the program of study. So just that is all that you need. You need to show that you are effective in in your teaching, okay? For senior fellow, you need to assist other lecturers, become better lecturers, basically. So that is the idea. For principal fellowship, for example, Ian or let's say Professor Atea can actually apply for that. Or if you have made a difference in teaching and learning at a strategic point, you can just apply for that. So they are not chronological, but I believe we are interested in being fellows. So this is what you'd be expected to do. So we've just looked at the first bit, and the first bit is about design and planning, the first activity area, design, plan activities and or programs here. So here you might include designing curriculum. Let me just increase the font. Does it? Okay. Yeah, so basically what you do before class. Next week, and the other week, we shall be looking at teaching and learning. So what you do in class. So for the first activity area, which you should be able to document, just start writing something, okay? We'll be uploading and I can review those of you who are really interested in documenting their teaching effectiveness. So these are some of the things that you might want to include. And I'll upload the PSF on e-learning. So when you're drafting your account, you are saying the first thing is the main ways in which you design and plan learning activities and or programs of studies. But then we have the professional knowledge and the core values. So you need to give reasons for your choice. Yeah, so why did I decide to have a concept map, in my facilitation, in my course outline? So there is a reason, because I want students to see the logic, the flow. And then we also need to support that, okay? So reasons for your choice of subject, material, activities and techniques, and the particular learning technologies included in here, how you make choices to facilitate learning in general and within your subject area, okay? And this will be supported by this. I will show you with time how we do it. But here, I think the key reason is we need now to be intentional, okay? Just intentional in everything that we do. And when you are that intentional, the question would be, so like preparing virtual learning environment, or when you walk into class, you design your class in such a way that, it is gender responsive. So the question would be, why are you doing that? Okay, so that is on the design. I don't know whether this helps. So this is the first thing that we need to write about, yeah? So let us be more intentional in our teaching and students learning, and then let us document everything that we do. Why do we do it the way we do it? What worked? What did not work? Why did it not work? So that is what reflective practice is all about. Yeah. Okay. I think I want to stop there. I've taken how many minutes? Yeah, it's just time. Yeah. So any question or comment? Okay, Dr. Mutura.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, for those who are used to the Bloom taxonomy, what mind do we need to have to integrate with the new one on significant learning?
In fact, that is good. Let me just show you one thing before, yeah. So I've put this. This is actually the taxonomy of significant learning verb tables, okay? So if you read this part, it tells you what knowledge is all about, application. This first part, like human dimension, learners will be able to understand about themselves, yeah? So, and then it gives you the kinds of activities, and then you have some verbs here. Now, we are not discarding Bloom's taxonomy, but you're just saying in addition to the cognitive domain, because with Bloom's taxonomy, we mainly use the cognitive domain, can we move on to the affective domain? Okay, the affective domain, and taxonomy of significant learning actually takes care of the affective domain, the human dimension, the caring, and the learning how to learn. So you need to have learning outcomes on maybe debate, express, discern, value, that kind of thing. So just in addition to, we are not discarding Bloom's taxonomy. We are just saying, let us include all the domains, both the cognitive, psychomotor, and affective. Okay. Yeah, and I'll upload a chapter on chapter 2 of, there's a book that Fink wrote, and he explains how actually he came about with that taxonomy, because it was just, he was waiting for somebody, I think, at his office, and the secretary asked, what can you say about Bloom's taxonomy, Yeah, so it is interesting. So it's good to progress also. Yeah, move from the cognitive, just sticking on the cognitive, getting into the affective, because I think students feel connected to us when we get to the affective domain. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I will look forward to the material just to get the concepts. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so I've already uploaded actually on e-learning. So for SBS lecturers, you log on to SBS, look for Pedagogy 101, and that is the enrollment key. And then for the other lecturers, I think David has sent the link. Yeah. Okay, yeah. So for you to draft the learning outcomes, please read through that document. It gives you guidelines on how to draft good learning outcomes. Good. So see you next time. I hope to read a few drafts before we meet. Okay.